What happens when a quiet black student fights back, just once, and suddenly the whole school sees him as a threat? What if silence isn't safety but a target? And when someone finally speaks up, will the truth even matter? This isn't just about fists. It's about fear, bias, and the price of standing tall. If this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that need to be heard. The first time Malik Drayton stepped through the polished glass doors of Skyview High, no one looked twice. It was mid-semester, too late for curiosity, too early for care. The front office handed him a class schedule without even making eye contact. No welcome tour, no guidance counselor, just a printout and a distracted, "You're good to go." He walked the halls like someone who already knew how to disappear. Back home in Atlanta, Malik had learned the difference between walking in a space and being allowed to belong in it. Here, the walls gleamed, the floors reflected ceiling lights, and every student looked like they'd stepped out of a catalog. Skyview High didn't feel like school, it felt like a showroom. He passed clusters of kids laughing too loud, locker doors slamming, earbuds in, voices bouncing off tile. Their clothes were crisp, their shoes clean, their confidence unshaken. No one made room as he walked by. Some looked up, most didn't. A few gave that quick once-over hoodie, beat-up sneakers, quiet face, and smirked like they'd already decided who he was. He kept his head down, walked like he had a destination even when he didn't. In third period, he slipped into the room as the bell rang. The teacher, Mr. Henley, didn't pause, just pointed toward the back. "Empty seat, grab it." No one asked his name. As he sat, he heard a low whisper to his left. "Looks like we got a transfer from Discount City." He didn't turn. He didn't need to. He'd heard it before. Different words, same tone. At lunch, he scanned the cafeteria. No one made room. No one waved him over. He found an empty spot near the far corner and sat alone. Chicken sandwich, an apple, carton of milk. Standard issue. He took one bite before a loud voice shattered the quiet. "Yo, you bring that from home, ATL? Or your mom find it behind a church?" Laughter from a table near the center. Malik looked up. Connor Blake. Varsity football jacket, toothpaste commercial smile. Surrounded by two sidekicks, one chewing gum like a dare, the other grinning like a shadow. Malik didn't answer, didn't blink. He took another bite. Connor raised his voice. "Looks like charity cases come with meal plans now." This time more laughs. Some were uncomfortable, most weren't. Malik slid his tray away and stood up. No reaction, no scene, just left. The quiet followed him down the hall. By last period, he'd memorized every exit. He stopped at his locker before heading out. That's when he saw it. Someone had written across the metal door in red dry erase marker, "Welcome to Charity, ATL." He stared for 3 seconds, then wiped it away with his sleeve. The ink vanished, but the message stayed, not in the marker. In the way the hallway suddenly felt longer. In the way his heartbeat didn't match his footsteps. This wasn't home. And it wasn't going to be easy. But Malik had survived harder things than this. And if this school thought silence meant weakness, they hadn't met him yet. Malik walked through Skyview like someone who already knew the rules of places that didn't want him. No sudden movements. Eyes forward. Don't talk unless spoken to. It wasn't fear. It was habit, one earned, not taught. In Atlanta, he'd learned that people who looked like him didn't always get second chances. Say the wrong thing, wear the wrong look, and suddenly you were a threat, not a kid. That awareness never left him. It clung to his shoulders like the backpack he never fully unzipped. So when teachers ignored him, when classmates whispered as he passed, Malik didn't react. He just moved. In gym class the next day, Coach Willis barked orders from the sidelines. Partner drills, pass and pivot. Malik got paired with Connor Blake, of course. Connor tossed the basketball at Malik's chest just a little too hard. Malik caught it like it was nothing, let it bounce once, twice. Then passed it back firm and direct, right to the chest. The sound echoed. Connor blinked. The boys watching smirked. "Damn," someone muttered. Coach didn't notice, or pretended not to. Malik stepped back, arms loose at his sides, calm as ever. He wasn't trying to start anything, just showing he could stand in the space and not fold. That evening, the Skyview lights were long out when Malik hopped off the Route 7 bus, walked 2 blocks past shuttered gas stations, and ducked into a dim building wedged behind a tire shop. A cracked sign out front read, "Daryl's Gym MMA and More." Inside it smelled like sweat and leather. Punching bags lined the walls. Old fight posters curled at the edges. The hum of a speed bag echoed from the back. Coach Daryl looked up from wrapping a young kid's hands. "You good?" he asked, voice low, steady. Malik nodded. "School's fine." Daryl didn't press, just pointed to the mats. "Let it out." Malik changed, stepped onto the mat and moved. Hooks, slips, counter kicks, smooth footwork, focused breath. There was no anger in it, just rhythm, just control. Daryl watched from a distance, arms crossed, unreadable. Malik didn't need to brag, didn't need to show off. He had nothing to prove to anyone. He just needed to remember who he was and who he refused to become. Happened in 7th grade. Different schools, different city, same story. Malik had just wanted to finish his lunch in peace. But Marcus Langston, 2 grades older and twice his size, had other plans, a backpack dumped in the trash, a tray slapped out of his hands, a shove hard enough to rattle Malik's teeth. He didn't swing first, not then. But when Marcus threw the second punch, loud and sloppy, Malik reacted like muscle memory. 2 steps forward, dropped the weight, pivot, elbow, knee, done. Marcus went down and stayed down. The cafeteria had gone dead silent. They called it an incident. The school called his mother in, suspended Malik for 10 days, told her he was a concern. No one asked why a 7th grader knew how to drop a boy twice his size. No one asked why he waited until the second punch. They didn't care that Coach Daryl had trained him since he was 8, not to fight but to control, to protect himself. The principal used words like excessive force and emotional volatility. His mother sat there holding Malik's hand under the table, jaw clenched so tight it trembled. In the car, she didn't yell. She just said, "You did what you had to do, baby." Then softer, "But next time, you move invisible." He didn't understand at first. He thought maybe she meant keep his head down, avoid trouble. But what she meant, what she was trying to teach him, was how to exist in a world that only sees threat when it sees him. It wasn't about being weak. It was about being smart. In the months that followed, Malik learned how to disappear in plain sight, how to hold his breath instead of speaking, how to measure every word, every glance, every reaction. He learned to fight like fire, but live like smoke. So now, at Skyview High, when they laughed at his clothes and scrawled on his locker, Malik didn't react. He didn't flinch, because he'd already learned the truth the hard way. Justice was optional, perception was law, and he knew which one got people like him kicked out. Friday brought a bite in the air, the kind that cut through layers and made people walk faster. But Malik moved at the same pace as always, steady, silent, watching everything. He stayed late that afternoon to help Ms. Keller organize science fair supplies. She didn't ask, but he stayed anyway. It was easier than navigating the chaos of after-school crowds and locker stares. By the time he stepped out the back exit near the gym, the lot had mostly cleared. Buses were gone, parents waiting in cars. A few upperclassmen lingered near the fields. Malik headed toward the back gate when he heard it. "Yo, ATL," he turned. Connor Blake stood a few feet away, flanked by Chase Mendez and Eli Ward. Their postures were too casual to be casual, hands in pockets, weight on one leg, fake smirking like it was all just a coincidence. "You think you're better than everybody?" Connor asked, stepping forward. "I don't think about you at all," Malik replied, calm. "You act like you do. All that silence. All that staring. I'm just trying to graduate." Chase circled slightly to the left. Eli leaned against the dumpster like this was a joke he wasn't sure he wanted to laugh at. "You walked out on us," Connor said. "You embarrassed me." Malik didn't blink. "I told you, leave me alone." Chase moved first. A fast, clumsy punch aimed high toward Malik's shoulder. Malik ducked, sidestepped, twisted Chase's wrist with just enough torque to make him drop, then guided him down to the pavement without slamming. It looked effortless. Connor froze for half a breath, then roared. He lunged, aiming straight at Malik's chest with a full-body shove. Malik stepped aside, pivoted, and landed a clean elbow into Connor's ribs, not hard enough to break but enough to make him stumble back, breathless. Eli stepped forward, then stopped, hands up. Connor stayed on one knee, panting. Chase groaned on the ground. Malik didn't smile, didn't taunt. He just stood there steady like someone who didn't want to be in the room anymore. That's when the back door swung open. Mr. Brenner, the assistant principal, stood in the doorway. He took in the scene. 3 students disheveled, one on the ground, one wheezing, one standing tall. Brenner narrowed his eyes. Malik, office, now. The walls of the assistant principal's office were lined with college pennants and framed quotes about integrity. Malik sat in the hard plastic chair, hands folded in his lap, jaw set tight. Mr. Brenner sat across from him, lips pressed together like he was already exhausted by the conversation. "I need to be clear," he said. "There will be an investigation, and possibly a disciplinary hearing." Malik didn't look away. "I didn't start it." "Doesn't matter who threw the first punch," Brenner replied, steepling his fingers. "What matters is the impact." Malik almost laughed. Impact. He could have broken Chase's arm, could have knocked Connor out cold, but he didn't. He held back, controlled every movement, and now he was the one in the chair. Later that evening, the real storm started. Connor posted a video, grainy, jerky footage that someone had clearly recorded from behind a dumpster. It picked up just after Chase stepped in, but right before Malik defended himself. The angle was bad, the sounds worse, but the clip edited and muted made it look like Malik was the one who struck first. The caption read, "He moves like he's done this before, just saying." It spread fast. Students reposted. Comments piled on. "Heard he got kicked out of his last school. Dude's too calm, it's creepy. Why'd he even come here if he's gonna act like that?" By Monday, the story wasn't about Connor or Chase or what actually happened. It was about Malik, again. In the halls, people stepped aside when he passed. Teachers stopped calling on him. One even subtly repositioned a girl's desk away from his during group work. Every sideways glance carried a weight now. He wasn't the quiet new kid anymore. He was a warning, an assumption, a headline waiting to happen. The worst part, Malik had seen it all before. Different faces, different uniforms, but the same fear, the same twisting of truth into threat. And the system didn't need facts. It just needed someone to blame, and Malik fit the description. Tuesday's lunchroom felt colder than usual, not in temperature, just in the way people moved. When Malik walked in, conversations dimmed. A few heads turned, then quickly turned back. No jokes this time, no taunts, just silence heavier than noise. He took his usual spot in the far corner, unpacked his tray, and picked at his food like it might bite back. He'd lost count of how many people looked at him like that lately. Then a shadow slid into the seat across from him. Malik looked up, cautious. Phoebe Sinclair. He recognized her barely. Quiet girl. Auburn hair tucked behind her ears, always sketching something in the margins of her notebooks. Always alone, she didn't say hello, didn't ask if she could sit. She just leaned forward and whispered, "I saw everything." Malik blinked. "What?" "Behind the gym, Friday. I didn't mean to. I was sketching the dumpsters for this weird art project. I was tucked behind the fence. I saw the whole thing." Malik didn't speak. He wasn't sure he believed her or wanted to. "I stayed quiet," she said, "because I didn't want to get dragged into it. I didn't think it'd get this far." Her voice cracked just slightly. Malik set his fork down. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because they're trying to bury you," Phoebe said, eyes locked with him. "And if they do and I say nothing, I'm part of it." He stared at her for a long second, measuring. "You're not messing with me." "No," she said softly. "I already told Mr. Brenner. I said I want to give a statement at the hearing." Malik didn't know what to say. No one had stood up for him since. Well, ever. She stood up to leave. "I'm sorry I waited," she said. "I just needed to get past being scared." Malik nodded once. It was all he could manage. That night when Coach Darrell asked how school went, Malik paused before answering. "Someone saw what really happened," he said. Darrell raised an eyebrow. "And she's speaking up." He didn't smile. But something in his shoulders loosened. For the first time in days, he exhaled like maybe, just maybe, he wasn't alone in this after all. The conference room smelled like printer paper and panic. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A long table split the room, too wide for comfort. On one side sat Mr. Brenner, the principal, a school board liaison in a stiff gray suit and the head of student discipline, a woman with a clipboard and an unreadable face. On the other side, Coach Darryl, arms folded tight across his chest, and Malik, back straight, expression unreadable. No one offered him water. No one asked how he was doing. The board member cleared his throat. "Mr. Drayton, we've received multiple reports and a video that suggests you were involved in a physical altercation on school grounds." Malik stayed quiet. His knuckles rested on his thighs, relaxed but ready. Coach Darryl spoke first. "He didn't start that fight, and the video you saw, it's cut deliberately." "We're aware the video is incomplete," the woman with the clipboard said. "But perception still matters. Other students feel unsafe." Malik finally looked up. "So it's about how I look then." The table shifted. Someone coughed. "Malik," Brenner said carefully, "we're not making assumptions." "Yes, you are," another voice interrupted. Phoebe Sinclair stepped into the room, nerves coiled in her hands but her chin held high. "I asked to be here," she said. "I saw what happened. I was there. I didn't mean to be, but I stayed hidden and I watched." She sat at the end of the table, placed a folded sketchpad on the table like it was armor. They surrounded him, 3 of them. Malik warned them twice. Chase threw the first punch. Malik just defended himself. He didn't escalate. He didn't provoke. The room stilled. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" the board liaison asked. "I was scared," Phoebe replied. "But that's not a good excuse, not anymore." Silence stretched. Malik shifted slightly, looked around the table, measured every eye on him, then said quietly but clearly, "If I were white and did the exact same thing, would we even be in this room?" No one answered. The clipboard woman stopped writing. Coach Darryl leaned back, proud without smiling. They left the room 20 minutes later, no verdict yet, just a decision to follow. But Malik had said what needed saying, and this time everyone heard it. The email came the next morning. "Malik Drayton is not subject to disciplinary action. Skyview High acknowledges that he acted in self-defense." Coach Darryl printed it out and stuck it to the fridge like a trophy. Malik just stared at it for a moment, then walked away. No celebration, no parade, just a small exhale in a world that still didn't know what to do with him. At school, the silence didn't lift. It only shifted. No one whispered charity case anymore. No more graffiti. No more stares of curiosity. But something colder took its place. Distance. Hesitation. Connor never looked his way again, didn't even try to spin the story further. Maybe because enough people had started to doubt him. Maybe because silence was safer than shame. Chase kept his head down, wouldn't meet Malik's eyes in the hallway. Eli moved to a different lunch table entirely. It wasn't regret. It was retreat. But not everyone ran. On Wednesday, Malik sat at his usual corner spot in the cafeteria, alone, same as always, when Phoebe Sinclair walked by. She didn't sit, not quite. Just hovered for a second, then took the next table over. Opened her sketchpad. She didn't speak, just gave him a small wave, a quiet nod. He returned it. Some respect doesn't need words. Later that day, as Malik packed his books into his locker, a younger student lingered nearby. Small kid. 6th period gym shirt still half untucked. Wide eyes, cautious voice. "Hey," the kid mumbled. "You really know how to fight?" Malik looked over, amused. "I know how to protect myself." The boy hesitated. "Could you teach me?" Malik paused, thought of Atlanta, of Coach Darryl, of his mother telling him to disappear to survive. He gave the boy a soft smile. "Lesson 1, he said, "stand tall even when it feels easier to shrink." The kid nodded like he was receiving sacred knowledge. They walked down the hallway side by side, not as teacher and student, not as tough guy and admirer, just 2 kids trying to move forward in a world that keeps asking them to disappear. And this time, Malik wasn't shrinking for anyone.